Okay. Okay, here we go. So welcome once again to all of you for this session of Edugo.AI webinars. And thank you for joining us in this Friday afternoon. Actually, I'm speaking from Italy, from Milan, and it's Friday afternoon here, but I don't know where are you guys from. So let us know, just send a message in the chat box and let us know where are you from. And also let us know if this is the first time that you are joining this webinar session or not. So for the ones joining us for the first time, I am Nicole Carvelli, the company BD manager. And here with me, there is also Edugo.AI founder and CEO, Giuseppe Tomasello. So Giuseppe is going to be the host of this webinar. And in fact, Giuseppe, I don't know, would you like to give a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Nicole, for the kind introduction. And thank you so much to all of you for tuning in today to join our webinar. I'm Giuseppe Tomasello. I am Italian, and actually I'm in Italy right now, but I've been living in China for many years, almost 7 years. I just came back actually 1 month ago in Italy. And so I have an international background, been living in different countries around the world. And I am, I come from the technology industry, but I'm also a passionate language learner. And also I have experience in language teaching. And so I decided to join the two worlds I'm passionate about and create Edugo.AI. And at the beginning, Edugo.AI was a software that I built for myself. So I was scratching my own itch because I was learning Chinese. And so I created this software that helped me to personalize more the content I was learning. And then, of course, the software evolved over the more than 5 years now, and now is used by language institutions, but also by teachers in order to integrate technology in their pedagogy, but also to learn to grow online. And so I'm really excited today to talk about this topic about how to achieve course market fit, because it's actually a topic that comes from the technology world. We call it product market fit. It's actually when you're building a software that your users really love. And I believe now, since education is moving to online and become digital, I believe that also in the education space, we need to start to adopt some of these, well-tested techniques that can allow us to grow really quickly online and to scale the number of users, and then, of course, to grow our business. So I'm really looking forward for our session today. And at the end of the session, actually, we're going to do a demo of the platform. And today I'm very excited because we're going to introduce to you a new feature. And actually, the schools and teachers are already using our platform, really demanding for a really long time. And that feature is actually like a very, very interesting because it's an innovation in the industry. So I'm very, very excited about showing you that. And then, of course, at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session, and we're going to have some discussion and interaction. So really looking forward to interact with all of you today.
Okay, great. Thank you, Giuseppe, for this introduction. So I see all the while that we are really international today because we have some neighbor from Italy, from other parts of Italy, but also from London, UK, Prague, but also people coming from Mexico, Brazil, North America. So we are from everywhere. So, okay, as Giuseppe said, we are going to talk about how to find the course market fit for your language business. And so without further ado, Giuseppe, I give you the floor so you can start your presentation. Just I would like to remind you that we are going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So for any question you might have, just send a message in the chat and we are going through it. So
okay, thank you so much, Nicole, for your kind introduction. And okay, so today actually the topic of the webinar will be how to find a course market fit for your language business. And I'm very excited about that because we're going to go a little bit about the theory. So we're going to do a little bit of diagnosis of your target market, which is actually very important for finding your market fit. And then we're talking about what is synchronous and asynchronous training, which are buzzwords are used a lot, but we're going to define them for the one of you who are new. And then we're going to actually describe you how you can merge those two modalities of learning and teaching. And then we're going to discuss to you, to show you about the case study about how you can launch practically your course in Edugo and how you can iterate in order to achieve your course market fit. I will start with a definition. These are general definition, what's called product market fit. And that, I believe, is the single most important objective that you should have whenever you're launching your course online, or whenever you're launching any kind of digital product on the internet, and you would like to actually make people use it or sell it. You need to achieve what's called a product market fit. And that is a general term in the specific terms of a course, or it can be a course market fit, because the course is your product, is what you're selling. And what it means is that, that you are in a good market with a product that can satisfy the demand of that market, okay? And these are definitions from Mark Andreessen, which is the founder of Andreessen Horowitz, which is one of the best Silicon Valley investment firm. And all the companies they invest, they always try to push them to find this product market fit. So in the same way, I encourage you, when you're launching your course, to find your course market fit. That's super important. And I believe that your business will completely change once you achieve this course market fit. And the first step is actually, as this definition says, is to be in a good market. And the good market actually is super important, because you don't want to be in a market that is very competitive, or in a market that is not changing, but you want to be in a market that actually can get a new product. And I can welcome this new product. And I believe that we are in a really good market situation right now, because we have this kind of like a wide adoption of technology into education. And so I believe that is a very great moment in time to offer a digital product for in the market. The market is ready for that, and they're willing to have innovation in the way they're learning online. So it's a great moment. And then what's really important is that, okay, once you identify a good market, then you need to actually build a product, in this case, a course that can satisfy the demand. And that can be a little more tricky, and we're going to see a little bit how to do. More specifically, if you want to achieve this course market fit, you can break down in 3 different parts, okay? And one part is what we call a problem solution fit. What that means is that you need to identify a problem of your customers, and then to identify a solution that fits perfectly with the problem. And that actually is very important, that you need to find a good problem. What does it mean? Problems can be good and problems can be bad. What it means is that a good problem is a problem that your customers, in your case, your students, are having very frequently, and they need an urgent solution, right? So that's a good problem. A bad problem is maybe someone is just, want to learn a language just because it's not that, but doesn't have a specific reason why you want to learn a language. That kind of users, I don't think they have a really solid problem. So it's very important you find a good problem and then create a solution for that. Once you identify a good problem and a solution, what you need to do is to find what's called language market fit, which is actually you need to learn how to communicate your value proposition to your target customer. And that you do it by using a language that your customers really understand. And that's actually you do by talking to your customers and asking, okay, how do you describe this product? And use the same language that actually they use to describe the product. And that use that language because that's the language that resonates. And the last but not least, you need to find a channel and what's called channel market fit. So once you identify your customers, where are those customers living? Where do they spend all their time? And of course, if you're targeting like a busy professional, probably the best channel will be LinkedIn. But if you're targeting a teenager, probably you should go more on TikTok or other kind of channels. So depending on your target market, you need to identify the right channel market fit. Today, we're not going to talk much about language and channel market fit, but we're going to focus on problem solution fit and talk more about the problem and the solution. For the other parts related to the channels, we have a lot of other webinars. So we encourage you to go back and check our YouTube channel. You can see recording where we describe strategies for all the different channels that you can use to reach your target market. So the first question, which is, I believe is very, very important, is to answer like, is, who is your customer? Right? It seems like a simple question, but this question can be very tricky to answer. And I don't want to go in the details of that because we already have a webinar where we talk a lot about this topic from Corinne Algi, and this is a frame from this webinar. But she's actually like asking really deep questions on how to find who is your customer. And sometimes, for example, your customers is not your student, but can be maybe the parents of the student that is the one who's paying for the service. Of course, so then you need to do a really deep analysis, and we encourage you to go in our YouTube channel and watch that webinar because Corinne is doing a great job, much better than what I can do. So that's really important. Having a clear idea of who is your customer. And once you identify your customer, which means you identify like the target that you want to achieve, then what you need to do is to create what's called a user persona. And again, this is not the objective of the webinar, how to create a user persona, but I just want to give you a general definition, which is user persona is a semi-fictional character that represents your target market. For example, in this case, Javier is, that person doesn't exist in real life, but a lot of people like Javier with similar characteristics exist. For example, Javier is 40, is Spanish, lives in Madrid, is a sales assistant. And Javier would like to learn English because he wants to travel. But right now he's actually doesn't have so much confidence in speaking the language because he never actually studied beside high school. So he doesn't have so much confidence in speaking, but he would like to travel around the world. So he wants to be more confident in speaking English. So this is actually like an example of a user persona where you're defining actually the problem that this person has and its relationship to the problem you want to solve, which is actually to teach him a language. And of course, you can go much deeper than that. You can define, for example, which kind of social media Javier is using, or I don't know, like what kind of spending habits does he have online? Does he have much money spending every month online? You can go very deep, but these are just to give you a general idea. Then we can have another user persona that is very different from Javier because her name is Zoe and she's 21. She's living in Shanghai in China. And she would like to learn English because she wants to go to study in England. And so she needs to pass the IELTS exam. As you see, like they're very different kind of user persona with really different needs. And of course, different solutions. So the problem is different. So the solution they need is very different. Last but not least, we have the third user persona of today, which is Thomas, which is a 32 years old Swedish person, lives in the US. He's a doctor and he wants to learn a very specific medical English because he needs to speak with his colleagues and patients. So he needs to have a very specific target language that is technical languages, medical English, and as well he is much more busy than Zoe, which is a student. So also the behavior of Thomas is very different. And so as you see now, we have identified the two different kind of user persona. And I would like to ask you now, like, which one do you think is the best target? Which one would you target? According to your experience, according to maybe like your own experience teaching a language, which one do you think is the one that is more suitable for you? Okay. Good by saying Thomas, great. Why Thomas? Okay, Sandy saying IELTS to Chinese. Great. Okay, great. So I can see that there are different answers, and okay. So Lynn is a Thomas because it's a niche market. Georgia is saying Zoe. Okay. Sandy's IELTS. Okay, great. So I believe actually there is not one single answer. I think it depends also not only from the target market, but also what is your own expertise and your ability to deliver like a very good solution for them, right? Because they might have a very specific problem, for example, Thomas, but if you're not an expert in the medical English, of course, you're not qualified to teach to him. Probably, maybe you're qualified to another specific niche, but I don't think there is a specific, like a general answer for this question. It will depends on your background and your expertise. But it's very important that you are very intentional in understanding what is the problem they have and what is your expertise, and then try to come up with a solution that can fit the needs of this market. So going to a more detailed diagnosis of this market, we identify actually 4 key attributes that we believe are important for a language course that you need to keep in mind in order to tune your solution to the problem of the market. So the first one is the pricing. Of course, different user persona will have different price that they're willing to pay because they will have, for example, different income or different intensity of the problem. For example, Thomas, I guess, will be willing to pay a higher price. Why? Because first of all, it's going to need a really specific training that is not actually generally available in the market, but the trainer has to be very qualified to teach medical English. And the second is because his disposable income is higher than, let's say, Zoe, which is a student and maybe doesn't have earning. Sorry for the questions. Actually, we have the section at the end. Peter, I'm sorry, just to not break the flow. If you want to ask a question, just maybe write in the chat, and then we are going to address all the questions and have discussion at the end. I'm sorry about that. Just to not break the flow of the conversation. Thank you so much. Okay, so the first one is the pricing. The second one will be actually the lessons. And the lessons, what it means is actually like the content. And what kind of content do they need? And also like what is this duration of the dimension of these lessons? Are like really short lessons or really long, depending on, of course, the specific problem that your target audience has. The other element we believe is very important is personalization, because personalization means how specific the language the students want to learn is. And for example, Thomas will have a super high level of personalization. And of course, Javier, which is learning just to have a conversation, might have like less personalization. Or even the IELTS, like Zoe learning IELTS would be very standardized because she needs to pass a standard exam. And last but not least is time. These are a very important variable because if you're targeting like a busy person like Thomas, of course, Thomas doesn't have like so much time because he's a professional. So you need to keep the lessons very short and to the point. And of course, if you're targeting Zoe, maybe she's learning English like multiple hours every day because she's really need to pass the exam. So as now, I hope it's clear, we need to have a flexible system. So we cannot have like one-size-fits-all course, but actually we need to, in order to find a solution that fits the problem of the market, we will need to have like adaptation of what are the different parameters that we can change in our course in order to adapt to the market and to fit the need of our user persona. And so that said, I would like to introduce to you the concept of synchronous and asynchronous, because I believe that those are two of the main elements that you need to play with in order to find the right market fit for your course. So the first, I just give you a very quick introduction about what does it mean synchronous. And synchronous is, synchronous training is just all types of learning which learner and instructor are in the same place at the same time in order for the learning to take place. And this is the classic, like a Zoom call or like a classic in-class training. So both the teacher and the student are in the same place. And of course, we have the pros is that you have immediate feedback. You can interact and discuss. You can build a personal connection with your trainer, also with your classmates. And the cons are, of course, in the case of online training, you need to have a very good internet connection. Sometimes it's not available. And it's not very flexible because you need to follow a schedule. And then, of course, the instructor is setting the learning pace, which is not giving so much flexibility to the student in order to learn whenever he wants, because he just learns during the class. On the other hand, we have asynchronous training, which means all type of learning that happens not in the same space on the same time. So it can be, for example, the posting a video on YouTube. That is a very simple example of asynchronous training, because you're creating some content and now the student has that content and can watch the video and learn from the video asynchronously, which means anytime you want. So of course, this has the flexibility of being anytime, anywhere you can watch a video, or you can do some interactive exercises. You have a cost reduction because the marginal cost is very low. Just watch a video, it costs almost zero. And then you can scale. You don't have any kind of limitation on the number of students. The cons, of course, it does, do you have any kind of interaction? You don't have real-time feedback. This is true till a certain point, because, for example, in Edugo, we are creating systems that give to students some kind of feedback based on their activities in an asynchronous way, but still is not the same of having a trainer that is giving you like a feedback. Like the teacher feedback is still the best you can have. So that's, we put our cons. And then, of course, the student need to be very self-disciplined and have a very good time management. If you're a trainer and you need to, choose which modality you want to go, like, because now imagine like you want to create a course, right? And now you want to sell your course online. You say, okay, should I create an asynchronous course, or should I actually sell, one-on-one lessons or group lessons on Zoom? Right, so you have this kind of like decisions you need to take. And of course, depending if you go asynchronous or synchronous, you will have a trade-off. For example, if you go for asynchronous, of course, you can save time and have really low marginal costs. And you can also sell it when you're sleeping, right? Like you create an asynchronous course just with videos, for example, and then you can sell it anytime. But of course, students are not willing to pay so much money for this kind of content, because online students are really are used to get content for free. And so you're competing, for example, with Duolingo or other kind of apps that are offering asynchronous content, like a really low price. On the other end, you can decide to go to the synchronous route. And so like you can charge a higher price, of course, and you can have also higher retention, because you're building this relationship, personal relationship with your student. But of course, there you have a difficulty to scale, because you will fill your schedule really quickly. And you also have a high marginal cost, which will be your time as a trainer. So that also has some cons. So at Edugo, we believe that the best will not be to go only asynchronous or only synchronous, but to find intersection between those two modalities. But the problem there is right now in the market is the fact that in the traditional platforms that you can use in order to go online, they focus only or asynchronous or synchronous. There is not yet a very good intersection between those two modalities. And that's exactly what we are going to demo to you today, because that's a feature we built and actually we're excited to show to you today, how you can actually manage to balance between those two modalities. And we believe also that depending on the solution you want to build, you can decide to go more asynchronous. For example, you do all content and then just one lesson per week or one lesson per month, synchronous. Or you can go on the other way. You do mostly synchronous training and just content to support learning and to give more flexibility to the student. So we believe that you need to balance those two parts. Okay, and so now that we defined actually like what are all the different attributes of your solution that you can actually have. So for example, the price, the balance between synchronous and asynchronous, the duration, and so on and so forth. You have all the different dimensions that you can use in order to build the perfect course. So the first step is to define your problem solution fit, right? So you create your user persona. You are understanding very well what are the problems they have, and then come up with the idea about a solution for this market. The second step is actually like going very quickly and build actually what we call an MVP, which stands for minimum viable product, which means you create this first version of a course that, it's really fits with the solution that you had in mind in your definition stage. And then you put this course, which is actually very simple, very quick to implement, in front of your target customers. And there you're actually trying to achieve very quickly like these, get some feedback from them. And you need to get feedback really quickly. Maybe you can do is to get actually 5 students. And what you can do is just, show this course that you built and get some feedback from them. And then you can start having more and more students in case the feedback are good. So we believe that you should use this cycle that is, iterative cycle, which is like at the beginning, you analyze your market, you learn from the market, then you build like this first MVP, then you launch it, you measure it, and then you go back to the learning stage, get after the feedback, and then you go back to build and do modifications. So this is the idea on how to achieve really quickly product market, course market fit. And the speed of this iteration is what is very important to learn from your market as quick as possible and then optimize your course. So now that we have a lot of theoretical background, we would like to go more practical and actually like show to you how you can do it in a practical way. So right now, actually, we're going to get this user persona that we build, and then we're going to try to create a first MVP or a first product that can fit with the needs of this user persona. So you can have a better understanding on how to do it in a practical way. So these are actually like how you're going to do it. Like we're going to be creating a course in Edugo, and those are going to be the 3 different courses we're going to create in order to fit the user persona. But without any further ado, actually we can go in a demo of the platform, more practical. So I will ask Nicole to help me out with the demo side and show to you exactly what we mean by creating this MVP.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, okay. So, okay.
Great.
So, Giuseppe, don't know if you'd like to give to start like with the medical English course, the one for Thomas.
Okay, great. So we have the first course that we created, Analyzing Thomas, which is actually our user persona, which is basically is the doctor, Swedish doctor living in LA. We created this course, and this course actually is, a course that is for advanced English. So it would be a C1 course for doctor. So you have some very specific language, okay, C1 for doctor. But then what you have is a mix of asynchronous content. So this is a content that the trainer can create for the specific niche, market niche, and that the teacher can create it using Edugo platform. We're not going to show you how you create the content, even if it's very easy, but you can go watch some other webinars where we actually show you how the content creation part works. And then you have a content plus live interaction with the teacher. Okay. So first of all, I would like to go inside one of these content lessons just to show how the student is actually can interact with the content. And okay, these will be medical expressions. Okay, great. So those are very specific, like language that is used in the medical space. And the platform offer, of course, like a very highly interactive experience for the student with highly specified content the student can learn, and he can practice all the different kind of skills. Okay, so now let's say like the student is doing some asynchronous training and then is doing some mistakes during the training. What is happening next? Okay, great. Here you can see the results. So the platform every time is personalizing, all the learning experience and is collecting on the student mistake. What is happening next is the student in the same course can book actually like a live session with the teacher, right? And then the teacher created like a curriculum, right? Like you have some asynchronous and then you have some synchronous. And here you can see very quickly, the student can press book lesson and then basically can enter inside the calendar of the teacher and actually book a time slot. In this case, actually the time slot will be very short, it's 15 minutes. Why? Because of course we know that Thomas is very busy, doesn't have the time to have like 1 hour lesson because he needs to fit this lesson during his busy calendar. And so the lesson will be just 15 minutes. So once the lesson is approved by the teacher and the video call, so all the synchronous part can happen also inside the same platform. So the students never have to leave the platform. Actually, everything happens here. And once the lesson is actually over, so once it's do the video call, you have a card like this when you can have a lesson that is generated after the video call. And this is actually how Edugo system is getting the content that is coming from a live session. So these are on the top will be the recording of the session. And then our AI system is actually extracting the content from the live session. And this content is highly specific. For example, here we have like really specific medical terms, so for example, like penicillin. And of course, the student can learn these terms and then have also different kind of activities. If you go in the practice now section, that you can really go and practice this super personalized content that is super specific. So in this case, Nicola was the teacher for this demo session. And so the student can go and listen to the recording of that frame of the video call.
Penicillin was an extremely significant medical discovery. Okay. I will practice as a student. Penicillin was an extremely significant medical discovery.
Great, okay. Good pronunciation. And here, of course, like the system is giving automatic feedback on the pronunciation. Here we have the definition, in this case in Italian. Of course, the platform can be customized in any kind of like language pairs. So it can be, for example, in the case of Thomas, will be like in Swedish, with the translation in Swedish. And so that's okay, that's like an interaction. And so Thomas, imagine now he can have super specific language that is very specific for his job with a very short lesson. So the timing is very short. And of course, he has all the content that is recorded in his course. So it's kind of building this content library with this teacher, together with also with the support of some asynchronous content. And so in the spectrum, this course will be on the top. So means the amount of synchronous is very high because Thomas really specific, but we still have some asynchronous that is supporting the synchronous interaction. Okay, so that's we believe, the first course market fit for Thomas. Let's go on Zoe. Okay, now we have another course market fit, we believe, with Zoe. In this case, actually, like this IELTS preparation course. And in this case, since the course is much more standard, because the IELTS is a standard test, we have mostly the course will be of like asynchronous content that is pre-built in the platform. But of course, there is always be some synchronous lessons where the teacher actually is getting the mistakes that Zoe is doing during the class, and then he can actually address those, knowledge gaps during the synchronous part of the class, and generate content that is very specific for the knowledge gaps. And of course, in this case, the price can be a little lower than Thomas, so 135 in this case, but of course, the price can be iterated and modified. Okay, last but not least, let's go and let's build a course market fit for Javier. Javier, on the other hand, has an English B1 lesson, and he wants to learn more for English to travel. So he's very casual learner. I just want to improve his speaking and oral ability. And so here actually we created a course for Thomas where actually it doesn't have to do like a one-on-one, but it's more like a group, because he also cares about meeting other people from all over the world. And here you can see we created a curriculum which is more like a oral curriculum, so more for speaking, focus on speaking. And also the schedule is set by the trainer, because this one is a multiple student. And so you can actually go and schedule that, and you can see, you can put also the number of participants in the class. And so you can manage also group interaction. And of course, in this case, the synchronous will be a tiny part, and the asynchronous will be the most of the interaction. Okay, and the price, of course, it will be much lower because the trainer can teach to many students, and of course, the marginal costs will be much lower. Okay, so that's it from the demo of the platform. So I hope now you have a better understanding on how you can actually create this problem solution fit, and then actually create your course market fit, which means actually practically build this course. And then very, very important, once you create your first course, don't stop there. That's just the beginning. You always need to keep iterating and getting information and data, and actually over time improve it. And then if you manage to do that, that will be amazing, because you will be able to grow very quickly your business, because you are creating something that is very valuable for your customers. So to conclude, and then we open up to Q&A. I already saw there are some questions in the chat, and I would like to give you a call to action. So what you can do next. So I would like to give you a practical call to action, so you can actually start building your course market fit. And the call to action is actually to fill this form. So we created a form where actually we're asking some questions, and those questions are more related to your current business and your current market. So you just fill in this form, and then what we will do, we will give to you a platform like the one we show you just right now, with the right configuration. And once you have that platform, you're going to be able to test with your market. That's very important. We're going to give you the tool where you very quickly can create your first course, test with your market, get some feedback, and then start the iteration process. And all of that, we're going to give it to you for free, which means actually you don't need to pay anything at the beginning, because we want actually you to get in confidence in the fact that you can actually very quickly achieve this course market fit. And then we are going to support you through the process of scaling your online business. Okay, so that said, I would like to conclude to say thank you to all of you. And then I would like to open up also for the Q&A in case you would like to discuss more details about your specific market, your specific problem that your market has. So thank you.
Great. So thank you also, Giuseppe. And I see that there are already some questions in the chat. So the first one is, was it a live lesson? So was the teacher really present, or was it a recording? So I think that was when we show the course.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so that one actually is a recording of the lesson. So what our system is doing is basically supports a live interaction inside the platform. Of course, for the demo purposes, we didn't show you the live lesson because it will be a little bit time consuming, a little messy. But what we did actually is record the session, and then our AI system generate a set of practice activities, so the student can actually learn after the class is over. And that's actually one of the key features of our system. It's very unique. It's the fact that the student can continue to get value even after the live interaction is over.
Okay. So then there is another question from Ignacio, who is asking, if a student mispronounces a word or phrase while practicing with audio recording, does the platform signal the wrong word or phrase? I'm thinking about specific feedback.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Nicole in that example was very good. She actually pronounced everything correctly, but in case Nicole mispronounces a word, then of course the system will recognize that. I don't know if you want to see that in live. Maybe if we have some more minutes at the end, we can actually go and show you trying to mispronounce some words, so you can actually see how the system is giving automatic feedback. And very important is that the kind of feedback is recorded in the system. So you as a trainer, you know actually what kind of mistakes your student is making. So when you actually go in the live session with the student, you can address those specific mistakes and knowledge gaps. That's the reason why we call it merging synchronous and asynchronous, because we are bringing data from the asynchronous to the synchronous part. And that's the say special solution of Edugo, is this kind of bridging those two worlds.
Okay. Then there is another question that is asking Edvig. I hope that I pronounce well the name. So is this just for language learning, or does the platform work for other subjects or programs?
Thank you for the question. Actually, it's very, very good. Our platform is very specific for language learning. And what we call it actually in technical term, I don't know if you know the word learning management system or LMS. That's what Edugo is like a learning management system, but we call it a vertical learning management system, which means it's super specific for language learning. And that's a reason why actually we can provide the best services. If you're like a language trainer or a language institution, we just focus on language learning, and we build all these pedagogical tools that support the learning of languages. And not only languages in general, we support specific languages, because every time we build our system, we need to actually go build the dictionary, build the grammar of the language, build all the kind of activities and exercises and speech recognition system. So very focused on languages. However, in the future, our ambition will be to also explore other knowledge verticals, but that's just a future ambition. For now, we are very, very specific for language.
Okay. Then, Giuseppe, there is another question coming from Sandy, who is asking, how will they market to Chinese learners?
Oh, okay. Great question, Sandy. Actually, that's our specialty. I've been living in China for many years. 7 years to be specific. And our platform at the beginning was born in China. Actually, like our first version was on mobile app in China. And so we built our infrastructure, first of all, works well in China. So the first tips I would like to give to you is when you select like some digital tools and your target market is China, be sure that that tools works in China, because in China you have a completely different internet ecosystem.
I know.
Right? And so might be some tools, they don't work very well or not stable inside of China. Some tools completely blocked, like Google. If you're using Google Classroom, of course, there's a no-no because it's not working. You need a VPN. The second thing is about the integration with Chinese social media. For example, like in China, very, very important is WeChat. And so I will highly suggest you to have like a WeChat strategy. Actually, we would like to invite you in the next session. We're going to have a WeChat marketing session. And so like we're going to actually dig deeper in WeChat. We have some friends in China that are really specific for like social media, Chinese social media strategies. And so have a WeChat strategy integration. And then of course, accept payments. Payments is another big part. In China, everything is on WeChat or Alipay, which are the two payment systems. So credit cards is not that used. So if you want to get Chinese customers, accept those kind of payments. Those are my three big takeaways. But of course, if you have more specific questions, please go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to you. So we're going to go. I know many trainers actually see in China like a huge opportunity, and indeed it is a massive opportunity. There are 400 million language learners in China, mostly learning English. So it is a massive market.
Yes, they are very, into education, and it's very important culturally as well. I know quite a lot about it. My current model is helping American actors in British accent training, but I would love also to expand and do the Chinese market, maybe.
Absolutely. So maybe that can be like a very good challenge for you for finding your course market fit in China. So you can create a user persona about a Chinese person, launch a course and try to actually sell it to some Chinese. Maybe we can support you in that. We have many connections.
Oh, I love that. Thank you very much.
Sure, let's keep in touch for later. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And then there is one last question, always coming from Edwin, who's asking that would love to learn more about what courses you have already and which languages.
Okay, so that's a really good point. Actually, very on-point question. We are a technology company mostly. So what we do is we build tools. So the idea is that we offer to you the technology to build language content inside our platform. However, right now, we understand that if you're like a language trainer, sometimes it's very time consuming for you to go and create like this course, and creating all this asynchronous material will take a lot of time. And we believe you should not spend your time building content at the beginning. As we told you, you should have an MVP and launch very quickly into the market, right? So you should spend your time actually talking to your customers and try to understand actually what is the thing that they need. That's the reason why we decided to launch like what we call the pilot course, which means is like some content is open source content that we're going to give it to you. And basically you can use that content as a first base to launch your MVP. And then, of course, since the content is open source, you get feedback from your customers, and then you can actually modify the content, adapt it, add the new content if you want. So you have this kind of initial base of content where you can start building on top of it. So that's something we're working right now. So that's the reason why it's very important you to fill the form that we send in the chat. Maybe Nicole, you can send it again.
Yeah.
Because if you fill the form and you tell us exactly what language you're teaching, what level is your students, what kind of modality you want, then we can use that as also a reference for us to give you this kind of open source content. And that I think will be very useful also for you to very fast go and launch your course into the market. I hope there was a satisfying answer. There is also an additional answer to that is we are planning also to create a content marketplace in our system, which means if you're a content creator, you can sell content to other content creators or to other like schools. And so basically we are populating the platform also with content. So those are the two things we're doing on the content side.
Can I jump in and just clarify what I was asking?
Absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I'm fascinated by, I think what you guys are doing is really important, because that specialization when it comes to helping people learn languages is very different from learning like maths or computer programming or something else. So my question was because and I've already got an online course on Teachable, and I help language learners to learn languages in better ways or in different ways. So it's a lot of, I guess, kind of like falls into the category of meta learning. And I would love to, and the reason that I asked this question was I'd love to have, maybe a list of recommended more specialized courses that I could direct them to. And so if that sort of makes sense, because then if I've got a student who says, yeah, I really want to learn Chinese, I can give them the foundation to say, well, here's how you can figure out how you learn best. And here I can give you the meta learning skills. And then maybe I could, direct them to something on your platform, for example. I mean, I don't know if you guys offer Chinese, but that kind of, does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. We offer Chinese. Actually, we started with Chinese because I was learning Chinese, and so that was the reason why we built that in the first place.
Amazing.
So, Chinese. But I see your point is very, very interesting. So you're basically teaching to students not what to learn, but how to learn. Basically, like you're giving them basically like learning how to learn. I did a course actually on Coursera. It's like learning how to learn, I think is the name of the course. So it's something similar to that, I guess.
Yeah.
That's great. And so basically what you're doing, I guess, part of your process is analyzing like what is the best way that student is learning. And based on this kind of like analysis, so maybe the student is more visual, or maybe is more like, learns better like by reading, then you're having like some course that you can suggest because it fits the kind of profile. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's something that we can do, but it's not going to be like as a feature in the platform, because the way our platform works actually is that we are giving to trainers and schools like the basic platform how to build their own like courses, right? And
so less maybe. Can I just clarify? So it's less about you won't necessarily have like like use your platform also as potentially as a marketing channel for schools or for
Yeah, so that's actually one core element of our platform, is that we don't want to be like this kind of like a marketplace for content. Yeah. We are more like a technology provider, because there are already like a lot of marketplaces. And then, you know, one of the problem is like, if you're a trainer or a school, you don't want to be in a marketplace because you don't want to be in a direct competition with other trainers. What you want to do is to create your like environment where you're actually encoding your pedagogical structures inside this environment. That's what Edugo does really well, because you can create all the exercises that are really fit with your specific pedagogical approach. However, I can tell you that that's very interesting. And what we can give you is maybe like a list of platforms, right? It's not going to be like a direct platform. I'll give you like, okay, those are like the platforms that are in our system, and then will be separated entities. And so you can drive them. But it's not something we provide right now as a feature. So I'm sorry that if you're looking something direct right now.
I'm fascinated, and thank you. And I hope this wasn't a useless question for the other listeners.
No. I have a question for you. Is like, do you ever think about encoding some of these meta learning techniques in some kind of software, or just we do like in a consulting base?
I mean, to be honest, at this point, it's very new. I'm still developing this program, and I have up until recently just been working one-on-one with learners and doing kind of bits of language learning, bits of meta learning, and combining those. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, I mean, what you could do, for example, is that you could create a platform with Edugo and encoding your meta learning techniques inside the exercises we have inside the platform.
Yeah, sorry, your audio just, or is it mine?
Yeah, no, it was my earpods connected, sorry. It's out of the scope of this specific webinar, but we have another webinar. We talk about all the pedagogical side of our system, and how our system is very flexible in order to create very specific, exercises or like learning activities. And so I think it might be also interesting to have a discussion with you how we can encode some of your ideas, learning activities inside the platform, and maybe like, integrate with what you're doing already on Teachable.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's have a conversation later about that.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Giuseppe.
Great. So, okay. So thank you all. I see that there are no other questions. So I would like, first of all, to thank you all for being with us for like an hour of this session. I also would like to thank Giuseppe for sharing his knowledge and his time with us. And I would like to remind you that if you'd like to try out Edugo.AI platform and try to launch your course market fit, you just need to fill the form here that I'm sending you in the Zoom chat, and fill in, and we will follow up with that. Instead, if you have other question, any other kind of question, just go visit our website, just leave there a message in the chat, and we are going to follow up as well. So thank you all for joining us, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.